And hello and welcome to AleksConnects. What is this? Yes, welcome to AleksConnects sandbox. My name is Alex and let's continue our Fanart project, Angry Birds vs Transformers. So yeah, it's been a long time since I streamed a creative stream, so definitely the same as for the previous stream with magic. I definitely going to mess up a little bit, maybe a lot. So yeah, let's just start where we left off. So everything is kind of ready. Okay. Just quickly prepare things, make sure that things are working properly. Again, a little bit of change in setup. Like I made a lot of changes in terms of visuals. Again, finally added a webcam. And as I promised, I'm going to show you my super awesome, not awesome, but drawing glove, which is completely worn. It has a lot of holes in it, so it's completely torn. Yeah, by the way, it's a pink one. You're not going to see the color of it because I'm living in a black and white world with no color in it. At least you're going to perceive it this way. So yeah, this is kind of a thing. It's kind of dying, but it still works, and also it's kind of dirty. We definitely need to wash it. So yeah, let's just start. Yeah, let's start. So we the last time, as I remember properly, for the most part we worked with the design of basically the last session of the 2017 was for the most part, okay, change language. Yep. Okay, quick check with things. Yeah, things kind of work fine. Oh. Drawing a couple of circles. Oh, by the way, is the time is actually up? Yep, up and running for yeah. Whatever out of 4 hours. I don't know if we will manage to go through full 4-hour session because like I started a little bit later, probably 20 minutes late. So yeah, either way, let's just continue. So yeah, for the most part, the things that we worked with was this area, and I kind of wanted to work on the design for these elements a little bit later, and I think we just need to continue with the designs. So yeah, this was a suggestive design. I still trying to figure out when is the best time to work on the design. Like, I know that ideally we need to work on the design throughout the whole session, so there's no there's no time ideally that we need to stop to work on the design. But I still trying to figure out where in the process I need to work on the most design elements. Either I need to work on the design during these sessions or during these stages, or keep it on the later stages and work on the design on the later stages. And of course it all depends what type of project we're working with. So for instance, if we're working with illustration, we could implement design on a little bit later stages, because illustration evolves the more we like working with this illustration. But when it comes down to character design, of course, it's better if we will put things on the early stages and then add details on the later stages. But again, it could work for illustration too. Apparently it's just like depends on what type of process it's more comfortable for you. I'm still trying to figure out what process is more comfortable for me. So yeah, so let's just everything works fine, I guess. Hope so. A little bit of dropped frames, don't know why. This is strange. Nothing actually launched that could result in dropping frames. It's kind of strange. So let's just, yeah, by the way, my monitor setup is pretty interesting. Like, I have one monitor right in front of me, and this is the main monitor that I'm streaming, and the second monitor is there, so it's actually on top. Yeah, this setup is super strange, but it's super awesome. Like, it's strange in terms of the placement, because I placed it on two, I forget how these things are called, speakerphones, or just speakers, and placed a board on these speakers and put a monitor on top of it. So this is pretty strange, but either way, this is the best. Like, the only thing that I need to do in order to see what I'm doing, like if I need to look through references, I don't need to turn my head in here or something like this. I just need to, like, lift my eyes a little bit higher and see references. So peek, and I'm already seeing things. So this, like, vertical setup is much better for me, that I'm kind of figured out during my different variations in setup, and I like the setup the best. It's pretty uncomfortable because, again, you need to have pretty, it's not going to look pretty, but it's super effective. And for me, the effectiveness of things a little bit, like, in priority. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to put my mind into work mode. Usually this is the thing that I'm usually struggling with, to put myself in the work mode, because, again, the more experience you have, the easier for you to get into the work mode, but the less experience you have, the harder it is to put yourself in the work mode and then just basically start and pick up on some things, especially when we are continuing after a long break. Yeah, we took a 2 weeks break. The main reason was, first was holidays, and the second one, I actually wanted to work on a lot of things, and for the most part I managed to do almost all of them. One thing still needs to be done. Like the January 15th, I'm actually launching a lot of new things on YouTube channel and on Twitch, and basically I worked on preparations for these things for the most part. Also trying to integrate, like, web camera into streams and find the best way to do that, to feel comfortable and at the same time to not face any issues regarding the, I don't know, recordings and CPU and GPU load. By the way, the only problem that I'm kind of facing by using webcam is, for some reason, it adds a GPU load more than CPU. So in terms of the CPU, things work fine, but when it comes down to GPU, it kind of overloads sometimes. And maybe when these overloads are happening, it results in dropping frames. Don't know actually why. Ideally, let's, by the way, open a task manager and see, maybe we will be able to look through it and just basically try to analyze what's happening and why it's happening. It's not the best way though to place it. And we still need to be able to see. No, let's do that. Yeah, GPU load is 10%, which is fine. CPU load actually, for some reason, pretty high. No, whatever. Let's just start. Without further ado, yeah, I need to drink water. Water. Super fancy cup with snow and some things. And there's a thing in here. The sun is warm. What it means? The sun is warm. Okay, so let's just try to put my mind into a work. So okay, what do we need to do next? So ideally, if I remember correctly, we need to like overview all these designs. So for the most part, everything design-wise is kind of already laid out. The rest of the things we will work with on the actual rendering stages. And the next thing, ideally, that we need to work with is to extend our. By the way, these are our sketches. These are the sketches. Yeah, this one is the primary one. It's our composition. Yes, so this is a composition, this is the perspective thing, this is additional perspective for a teacup, or yep. This is our lighting source that will create the whole like feel, emotional. Okay. That was a strange sound. Yeah, so for the most part, again, there's a lot of things that kind of doesn't work here. For instance, right now I'm seeing that we definitely have trouble with this one. I kind of seen mistakes now. A little bit better because we took some break, and after a break you usually will see the mistakes that you never didn't saw before. But for the most part, I'm not going to correct all these things now, because if you want to correct everything, you could spend on work like countless weeks and months. I kind of want to finish it because we need to put it to an end. Like, I'm working on this one already fourth month, I don't know, probably a third one definitely. So because I'm creating this work only inside of the streams, kind of creates a little bit of problems, I'd say. So okay, yeah, still frames are dropping. I don't know why. It's strange. Not drastically, but kind of dropping. So yeah, for the most part, like, we definitely wanted to create a design for a teacup and make sure that it's going to look like different. By the way, the original so this is a teacup, this is a whitener. See, I kind of established the construction for it, but I thought that I'm going to work on the design a little bit later. But if I'm being honest, I don't feel like creating the design for a cup, actually. Maybe we need to open the references to resolve this issue. Oh, no. Improper. This probably will open things with MTG, yeah. So let's just open a Pinterest and see, look through things that we have. So yeah, as a reminder, these are all references that we gathered throughout this project, and it's not over. We're still going to gather a little bit more references for the materials if we're not going to have those, and basically for rendering stages, this is something we definitely will gather. But for the most part, we have everything that we need. So the things that I definitely need to think right now about is the teapot. So again, like, for the most part, when I created the teapot, I aimed on something like this, just a regular teapot without any complications. I kind of don't need anything like super complex. The simpler this teacup is, the better. Again, this is too complicated, although it looks pretty awesome, but again, we don't want this overcomplicated stuff in this illustration, especially for this type of focus, the secondary focus. And we still have a lot of elements in the illustration that we just don't want to distract the attention from. Yeah, so I think for the most part I will stick to a simplistic teapot. And ideally I could spend a lot of time to make design look better, because again, when we're talking about like small elements of the design, it's basic spherical form. It has like designs usually happening in here, so the size of the handle, the proportions in comparison to the whole like size of it. So yeah, let's just put it on the second monitor and kind of do things. I don't know why frame is dropping. I actually don't get it. They don't have to, but they're dropping for some reason. Not that a lot actually opened. Okay. So yeah, this was like a basic design. Like, we could make the nose for a teapot a little bit smaller. I think it's too big. But again, I want to keep proportions the proper way. I'll just try to duplicate this one for the sake of just comparing it. So the handle ideally needs to be a little bit bigger, and this is definitely something that I thought about at the beginning, but by making it too big, it could look silly, but at the same time making it too small, it's going to be even worse. This is not the element that we need to kind of focus our attention to for the most part, but I still want to make the proper design. Okay, we could try to make things... Okay, why it's not erasing? Okay, it's erasing. By making the nose a little bit smaller, and by keeping it, and by putting it a little bit higher. So the placement for the nose in here kind of works. We just could put it a little bit, like, just higher. Okay. Whitener. Of course, we need to create a additional one by duplicating this one and hiding this one. And re-erasing things. Okay, this is not an eraser. Just want to see how things are going to look that way. Yeah, now, like before that, there was no character to this teapot. Right now it has a little bit more character by making it like this. And it's all about, like, I don't know, when it comes down to the design, you need to put character in almost everything that you will create, like ideally. Not always the thing. So for instance, this teapot doesn't have any character. It's, I don't know, it's kind of boring. Or at least I don't feel the character in it at all. But this one, for some reason, has a little bit more character. Maybe it just feels different though. We could try to place it a little bit higher. Or make this one a little bit smaller. Let's try to do that. Okay, this one actually looks a little bit better. Yeah, we need to be careful not to create a tangent in here, but yeah, I kind of like how it looks. I don't know, for some reason it's a little bit closer to the character of Angry Birds. It kind of looks like a funny bird. I don't know. If we will put for like couple of characteristics, yeah, we can't do that. We could put a couple of characteristics in it. Oh, snap. Again, usually when we're working with these things, we kind of need to imagine them as characters. And that way, by thinking of them as characters, it will make things a little bit easier for us to create the designs for not live objects, or the objects that are alive. I'm usually calling them subjects. Like objects for me is something like not lifelike, and no, yes, objects. Yeah, no, something that it's not lifelike. Oh, come on. Wait a minute. Where is the music? For some reason, it's super like. Okay, whatever. So yeah, basically, I try to look at them as characters. Not always it's impossible. Not always this is the possible thing to do. because, for instance, I definitely didn't thought about characters when I created those. I just tried to create them pretty close to pretty looking donuts. The same goes for these pieces for cupcakes and for just regular spheres in here, and that represent chocolate. But for the most part, like, I don't know. No, snap. So yeah, let's keep it this way. Again, we need to move on. We definitely need to move on. We need to move on from everything that surrounds our table and actually explore under the table now and try to create designs for actual robots, for transformers, and for the Quintessa. Or not create designs, they kind of already designed, but work on these designs a little bit better. And make them pretty close to the finish, because this is definitely going to be a hard thing to do, because I didn't work necessarily on these type of elements before, on these type of complexities, and although we kind of designed them already, it still doesn't change the fact that we need to make them a little bit more detailed and put them in 3D. Good thing that we went through this before. So let's just try to open this 3D thing. Let's hope that it's not going to overload GPU that much. So yeah, we'll wait till it will load. It's loading. It's loaded. Let's put it in here. Yeah, it loads GPU pretty drastically. And it definitely could result in dropping frames. It definitely will drop frames. Okay, so for the most part, we're going to work from design for this transformer that we established during the sculpting stages, and I will try to implement the design for this transformer into the tables, into the, oh come on, chairs on which our characters are sitting to. So this kind of will be the thing. Things are kind of super slow. Okay. Yeah, let's focus on the head. I think I will start with the chairs, because again, the design for the Quintessa necessarily is not that clear. There's a lot of things that we could add to the Quintessa, so that's why I think it's better if we're going to put this one in 2D, and then we will work with the Quintessa. So first, of course, I will find a proper angle for this one and try to emulate this angle on second monitor, and I'm just going to use it as a reference. this angle is actually pretty extreme. Yeah, I don't have to like choose a necessarily the same angle. The only thing that I need to do is just understand the shape of it or the form. So I could even work with this one. It's modern enough to understand the form. I think the best way is to choose a shadow form for it, or shadow side, not the one that in light, because there's not a lot of form in here because it's in light, but right here actually form is a little bit more visible, so I will use it. Yeah, let's just put it on second monitor. Deuterium to deuterium to deuterium. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things happening. I need to close a couple of things. There's nothing to close though. Not that many things are launched. I could close the references in the Pinterest. For references in Pinterest, I could use something else. For instance, tablet or... Yeah, I'm looking through the references on Pinterest just quickly and trying to decide what type of reference I'm going to use for it. Because we kind of need to come up with a little bit of variation in design in here. Because if I'm going to take the exact design from 3D thing in here that we designed, that way it means that I need to recreate designs for the rest of them. What's happening? Why is it so laggy? I don't know what's happening. Things should work fine, but they're not. My scene actually on OBS right now is much more manageable in terms of it isn't supposed to overload, because before that was complete overload with it. Right now things should work fine. For some reason I'm still facing some lags and I don't know why. Oh. Yeah, let's just try to work on the design in here. So yeah, I will keep the teapot the same way, kind of like how it looks. At least it's manageable. It works fine. So teacup works fine. So for this part, we will work on a little bit. For the most part, design of these type of elements will be done on later stages, not on this stage. Again, rendering stage is the way to go for these elements, because this one is not final in terms of the line art, because we're not going to use line art in our illustration. It's going to be erased. So the only reason is, as a reminder, why we're using line art is just for I don't know, as a guideline for our rendering, to make sure that we will stay in some type of ground rules, I don't know, in some type of frames. So I'm considering this one as a way to control rendering a little bit better. So yeah, let's keep this one in here. Cup. Okay, let's create another thing, put it in the group. No. quick group. Call it chairs. CR chairs. Forget how chair spelled, so spells. Oh, come on. Let's just call it all chairs. Because again, they are separated from each other, so we could easily work with them. Again, second monitor has this one. I'm looking at this and just basically analyzing its form in 3D and trying to put this form in here in this particular angle. Hope things are not lagging. Oh snap, my eyes want to sleep. Again, I get back to the regime of sleep, normal regime of sleep, but the problem is I'm still kind of adjusting to the stream schedule in terms of, like, ideally I want to sleep starting from now usually, and in 1 hour I already sleeping, but of course streams need to go from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. ideally, and this is a perfect time for me to stream, but I kind of need a little bit more time to adjust to it, so this definitely will take some time. So yeah, we kind of need to lay out the proportions that we created for the mask, and there's a lot of things that we need to kind of work with in here. Just trying to look at it and... Oh, wait a minute. What I'm doing? Completely wrong. Yeah, definitely got rusty during the holidays. This is the thing, like, I still like, ideally, almost my dream is to draw effortless. And this was my dream for a long time, but the thing is, no matter what I drew, it never came easier. Like, I constantly struggled, and I'm still struggling sometimes, so that's when I went through sculpting. It was a little bit more intuitive for me, because I struggled a little bit less. For the most part, we're not going to see the thing in there. And there's going to be one in here. Again, find the proper proportions is definitely going to be not easy. And although design is kind of already laid out, but still to put this design in here and make it work in 2D, it's a little bit different. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, a lot of mirroring needs to go in here because we kind of need to put it in a proper perspective. I'm using this one as a guide for it, and like ideally I think this one needs to be a little bit tilted, either like this or like this. I don't know. But I don't think that this tilt is going to be that much visible, like, for the most part. Don't think so. Trying to rotate it in a different... Like, you still want to make it look cool, but it's not that easy. Okay, this one's smaller. I make it too big. This is the strange thing. Yes, we have these designs already laid out, but it doesn't change the fact that we need to almost redesign them for a different placement and positioning. It's one of the things about 2D art that right away like created a problem for me. We're almost not going to see this part, which is kind of strange, because ideally we would, at least a little bit of it. We have a little bit more freedom when it comes down to 2D, but this freedom is constrained by our abilities and skills. I should say skills. So the more skills we have, the less constrained we're feeling. So yeah, we definitely need to make these eyes closed. Because this transformer is kind of already dead. there's a lot of things. I probably should wear glasses when doing this, but usually, like, I don't need them. But when we're working with small elements, of course it's better if I have those. Okay, there's no such thing in here. There's almost something like this in here. It's barely present in here and slightly here. I'm kind of already creating a little bit of different iteration from what we have in our initial design. I'm trying to keep things kind of the same, but at the same time try to implement something unique to it. Making it a little bit more robotic looking by adding a little bit more sharp edges. One of the problems that I'm kind of having is the fact that I'm trying to create it in here, and this one is kind of distracting, so definitely not considering the perspective that well. Okay, this one is from far, so if we would if we would look at this one a little bit close up, it would be a little bit, so like maybe we need to make it a little bit wider, like this. Before, after. Yeah, a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. The proper placement for things. Okay, this head is too big. Needs to be smaller. That means we need to make it a little bit closer. And cut out it somewhere in here. Again, it's all about proportions, the proper way to represent these proportions. Yeah, there's a lot of organic elements in here, and every time that we're working with something organic, it creates a little bit of freedom. But we still need to keep it look like mechanical, like, and then this is something that kind of definitely I will struggle with. Yeah, definitely need to use this. But that way I'm barely seeing things on the second monitor, because this precision mode makes things a little bit darker on every monitor, and I'm barely seeing things. Now we're actually able to work with the actual design by implementing the size comparison. Because before that, I kind of disregarded it for the most part. I just work with like on the flow. On a go with the flow, I should say. So right now, I'm just establishing the different planes for it, or not planes, but I should say the elements of the design. And once they will be established, I will work on their proper proportions. Because if we will try to lay it out everything at once, we'll definitely struggle a little bit more. So first, it's probably a better idea to just figure out the different shapes inside this big shape. So like this plate, this plate, this plate, this, and etc. Just basically try to figure out these plates and their placement. Guess it could be a good idea. This is so uncomfortable. I can't even tell. That is the part of the process. When you're working with something that you... I knew that I will struggle with it. I knew that we kind of kept the complex stuff for later. And it's just the beginning, because once we will go in here and we will work with pretty extreme angles, oh damn, I will struggle. So, but I'm fine with it. Again, it's all about conquering your fears and pushing yourself. This is the whole thing. Yeah, I kind of don't like how this thing looks. Maybe we need to get rid of it overall. But specifically for this design. Okay, we also need to see where this part is going in actual 3D. I think it goes somewhere in there. Yeah, we don't have to be specific. It's the only thing that it needs to be it needs to look cool. It needs to look acceptable for our design. And as long as it looks fine, even if it's not exact design that we established, it still was inspired by our initial design. Of course, this type of approach could create problems, especially when we actually have to create something exactly that we designed previously. That way, of course, we need to work with a little bit more precision and make sure that we will repeat the things that we kind of designed. But right now I have a little bit more freedom, so I could change this whatever I like. So basically I'm using the initial design as an inspiration. Okay, the placement for the eyes kind of off for both of them, so it needs to be a little bit higher. Again, I'm trying to compare the proportions of this one to the proportions of the Angry Birds, to the overall proportions. It's definitely going to be a harder thing to do, because the size of this head needs to be completely realistically compared to size for these ones, and it will tell the viewer the size of the actual statues. And if I want to make statues bigger, that means that we need to make these heads a little bit bigger. So it might be the case if we will establish, for instance, after I will finish this design, we might have actually enlarged them a little bit, like make them a little bit bigger. It all depends. I think they definitely need to be bigger, so like without question. Yeah, let's make them a little bit bigger. Because I don't believe that, like, come on, if we will compare this head, which is approximately at the placement, with the proper placement of this one, it's kind of super small. It needs to be at least probably this size to actually fit this transformer in terms of the size, but it's not going to work in here. That's where the proportions are super important, and I don't know what we're going to do with it though. We could showcase these transformers as the smaller versions of the transformers, and these transformers are the bigger versions of the transformers. So these are kind of statues, and they're not necessarily transformers. So the cool thing about Transformers we saw throughout the movies, that there's a different size of the Transformers. So for instance, the Knights are a little bit bigger than the usual Transformers. So I think they could change in size. So yeah, we not necessarily want to tie this head to this body, because again, for that we need to make it much bigger. So big that it's just going to be too big. This is kind of a problem. I think I know what I'm going to do. This is all in all close or not. No, it's actually not necessary. Oh, my eyes. They want to sleep. This is the thing. I actually make this thing gradually connect so it's not separated. It actually creates pretty interesting design in here. Yeah, I think this one is too big. But it's kind of big. It kind of has to be that big. Yeah, I think we need to put this one a little bit higher. Dun, 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 dun. Jag should have. Yeah, let's make it not visible. Again, trying to establish the different separations for all of these things. Separate parts. To make it a little bit more robotic-like. We could even segment them or separate them into different segments. It will kind of make things a little bit easier while rendering. And again, I knew when I went through sculpting that we need to make them a little bit more, like, less organic looking. And maybe we will by adding a little bit more hard edges here and there. Oh snap, it looks like a lion. Which is not bad, but again, probably not the best. Idea to put something from Animal Kingdom and the look for the Transformers that lives on a completely different planet from Earth. Yeah, just trying to make things a little bit more hard surface looking, because I didn't want to spend too much time on hard surface things in 2D. It's like we need to create the separation in here too. Trying to implement new elements. Well, it's probably going to be... It's not going to look that good, maybe. Again, I want to make them look as close to an alien form as possible. But at the same time, again, keep some organic elements to them. So yeah, right now I'm kind of went through the actual initial design and trying to implement new elements to it. I still will, we still need to figure out what, like, I still don't know what elements we will keep as an actual design element and what elements we're going to change throughout the render. So this is definitely something that we need to answer. What I mean by that is, like, there's a lot of construction lines in here that we will get rid of. And the question is, what lines are going to be construction lines and what lines are actually going to represent the parts of the design. So this is the thing that we kind of need to figure out. By the way, let's just make a quick break. Like, again, ideally we need to make a break every hour. Ugh, definitely, because my hands are kind of aching. So yeah, so we'll go in a break, and during the break we will go to see the Avatar Tony. Yep. So yeah, let's just do that, and we will go in a break, and after a break we will be back. So while we're on a break, let's just post things a little bit better. We will turn on the break thing. and we will turn off our sketch to see things a little bit more clear, I would say. And we'll be back after a short break. So, yep. And I'm back. Does the microphone is working? Apparently is it. It is. It is working. Yep. So let's just continue. Let's turn off our I'll be back thing. Like the problem that I'm like I already talked about this, so this one seems complex and this one seems simple or simplistic, and it kind of will create pretty awesome contrast. But again, it's much easier to create Angry Birds than to work with these guys, because there's a lot of complex stuff in here that's happening, and it's not something that we kind of able to control. Some things will look good, some things are not. It's all about creating a proper silhouette either way. Yeah, still don't know how to represent this part. Should we need to make it a little bit, I don't know. Again, a little bit more hard surface. Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm getting caught up with details, and I'm fully aware of it, but I can't help it. Can't help it. Sometimes it's super tempting to go through the detailed stages. Na na na. To go. Some elements of this design is actually a little bit better than our initial design, because, like, I don't know, I like them a little bit better in here than in initial design. Which was the whole point of initial design, to give us a little bit more freedom. Not freedom, but I should say... So the initial design for the most part served as something that helped us to establish okay, this is actually strange if I'm going to put it in here. Yeah, the initial design for the most part served as something, it's just like a direction, I would say, and from this direction we could go wherever we want. And without this initial design, we would probably wander in a dark and wouldn't probably make the right decisions. Okay, this is actually kind of a problematic thing. So yeah, we need to establish the thickness for it. Because working on the form for this one, it's actually pretty important. We can't disregard it. This one is too straight. We need to create a little bit of variety. It will slightly change the silhouette though, which is actually good for us. And also let's put this one a little bit lower. So it's probably this one. Yeah, I want for them to look a little bit more aggressive, and by putting this eyebrow area a little bit lower will definitely provide us with that feel. Like, ideally we need to again, I already talked about perspective. Like, So let's just create a new layer and use it for our perspective guide. Because I don't want to turn on the perspective guide. It will definitely slow down things a bit. But we still need to place a couple of perspective guides in here. It's basically our guidelines for the perspective that we're using. Because we need to make sure that things that we're doing by eye will work. Just make them barely visible and continue. Turned off our painter assistant thing and save. Yeah, so far I'm pretty close. For different designs we could create something like this and make things even much more interesting. I could do this in here, by the way. Yeah, let's make this one, since this one is the most visible one. Kind of need to make it look as badass as possible. Ideally, this element for the silhouette will definitely be important thing, but what we created in here, we need to kind of establish it in here too. Then it goes a little bit down. Yeah, this one actually looks a little bit better. It's definitely going to be a problem to maintain this thing on the rendering stages, but again, this is the whole point why we're creating this one. We could get rid of this perspective thing. The only thing that we kind of need to figure out in what layer it is. Environment. Yeah, we definitely could copy paste it, put it somewhere lower, make it barely visible. I actually could put it on top where not pie, not chocolate, not cup, chairs. $15. Yeah, a lot of big changes and added to the design. Still a lot of unanswered questions though. Where's the head is connected? Where's the neck? It's going to show. Color party. Yeah, a little bit more robotic. A little bit more robotic. Actually look better when it was as a curve. It's pretty hard to maintain a curvature when the most present element of design is the straight line. Okay, definitely works strange, or looks strange. It's like this thing goes up and this thing kind of breaks. A lot of iterations. Again, this thing needs to be somewhere in here in perspective. Also, we need to keep in mind how it's okay, good. Yeah, I think we need to finish with this one, but again, and go to the next one, probably. Because I could sit here forever and try to make it look good. Again, we don't have enough pixelization of pixels to work with to make it super detailed, and we don't need that either way, so it's kind of good though. Again, segmented eyelids to make things a little bit more robotic. Let's just add a couple of separations that for some reason I disregarded. So we definitely need to establish where the elements are separated. Din, 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 din. Trying to make things a little bit more interesting. For the most part, this is kind of a random thing. Again, I'm basing it from our initial design, but I'm not trying to create something specific. It's just like basically improv. Find a better way to showcase this. Okay, it doesn't actually speak to me. Yeah, before that it was a little bit easier. Once we will adding different shapes, it completely changes the whole look of it. So we still have like the elements when we're talking about design. We still have the things in design that have an empty space to them, small versus big versus middle. So there's a lot of things that work with the design still. So we don't want to like put things in every empty space in order to fill them with some information. Okay then. Actually, this one looks now like it's not goes in there. Both look strange. Let's save this one. Try a couple of different things in here. What will look best? Like the problem, I think we had to establish center line right from the beginning, because now, since we don't have center line necessarily, it's kind of a little bit harder to properly place things. Everything has to have a center line. Okay, this one is actually a little bit smaller. Make it super big. It's a little bit smaller in here. Because we just stop seeing it at some point. Again, it will create a little bit better silhouette than just something like this. The same for this one. Kinda need to make silhouette a little bit more pronounced. I want to sleep. There's 2 hours still. We still have 2 hours. We still have 2 hours to stream, which is fine. Which is pretty cool. where our chatbot? Hello, chat one. So, this thing actually has to be a little bit higher. But again, we're looking from a different angle. And for this particular angle, things are fine. Exactly they should, how they should be. Yeah, this thing needs to be on top. Wait a minute, why I'm not seeing selection? Definitely needs to be slightly rotated. Again, we will design things a little bit better, or we will finish the designs on the rendering stage. So. We're not going to see these two. We could create something like here as a transitional element. Definitely will make things a little bit more interesting. We could even implement the same element of the design in here. Okay then. So yeah, I think we kind of have to quickly or slowly finish with this one and go into the next one, because 2 hours left. I managed to do this in 1 hour approximately, because first hour I was kind of useless. For the most part, didn't know where to start and where to continue. The quickest way to conquer your fears is diving into the one thing that you fear the most, especially when it comes down to creative process. Okay, see, I think that's it for this one. The only thing that I could, though, choose is probably either the size of this part. We could create some type of a separator in here. By the way, let's do that. That's kind of cool. Okay, for this one, I think we could finish. The rest things design-wise will be established on the final stages, but for the most part, it's kind of work. I like the size, I like the proportions, the overall design. A couple of elements kind of seems unnecessary, but not to the point of complete destruction of the ice. So I think we could keep them. It probably will change a bit, but for the most part, let's just keep it the way it is. So yeah, the next helmet is going to be this one, and it's going to be the back for the helmet. Just bring back our sketch. Yeah, apparently it needs to be a little bit bigger. When I managed to move it though. How different is it from our initial sketch? This is actually pretty good. The only problem, it looks a little bit more generic. So this one, oh, this one looks a little bit more dynamic just because it was sketch again, and this one looks a little bit more generic. But at least it's in a proper perspective, which is good. Which is completely good. Okay, now it's the back, the hardest thing ever. Reason? Because the back for the head is pretty, I would say, strange looking. But, no. Oh, what's happening? So first we will do the same. We will establish the perspective for this one, because for this one perspective already kind of was established. So let's just establish perspective for this one. Turning back the assistant things. Try to find the proper perspective for it on an actual perspective layer, of course. Yeah, this one uses the same perspective as for the table. Water. Again, this one is going to be a straight line. Yeah, for the most part, this one more than enough. I don't think we will need to put something beside. And we definitely need to be careful with movement for this layer. By the way, let's just go in a quick break, and after the break we will be back. Yeah, again, I want to make breaks every hour, so this is super important to go through breaks in every hour. For health, because these hands are kinda needs to be repurposed with some type of movements, whatever. So yeah, let's just take a quick break, and after break we'll be back and we will continue to work with these elements. And since we've finished with this perspective, we could get rid of it. Turn off the assistant. We're going to use these basic perspective planes to properly position our design for the robot. And also a little bit later we will definitely revisit this one, and I definitely think that we have mistakes in here, but right now I'm kind of blinded to them. We need to make the break. Maybe tomorrow we'll see them. Like today it's not visible for some reason. Yeah. So yeah, let's just go into the quick break. And I'm back. Goodbye, break. Hello, me. Goodbye, Tony. Avatar Tony. So yeah, let's continue. Let's put our fancy glove. Okay. And continue. So yeah, we'll continue to create our robotic parts of the chairs. So for this we could use the same design as we designed for trying to find the proper angle. Microphone, in place. Okay. Snap. So it's definitely not going to be an easy thing to do. I need to keep in mind the look of this one and try to implement the same thing. Yeah, This helmet is definitely going to look pretty weird from the back. There's definitely going to be a lot of redesigning because in order for it to look good, we need to go through a lot of iterations, not just one. Again, as I said previously, for these type of elements we need to think okay, this one a little bit higher. Actually going to be exactly in a place that we need it to be. Yeah, so first we need to lay out the individual elements of the design. Of course I could put the whole silhouette first, but we're still going to change it a lot. Just make it a little bit more accurate. We're not working with a sketch, like loose sketch. We're actually trying to put some final things in here. So less details or less chaotic movement and more precise things. Yeah, this is completely out of things that I would imagine. Again, I'm trying to put it different. Elements of design. Based on the initial design that we have for our 3D model that we worked on the sculpting stages. Once they will be done, you don't think that this thing will work? Okay, this is the top. It definitely will change a bit because it's pretty bad in form, but at least we established the design like parts, so this is the one area, this is the other area, this is another area, and etc. So basically establishing the separate areas, trying to put them together as close as possible, not like super accurate, but still enough to showcase needed things. And then after that we will of course work on proportions, but so far more than enough to just the quick suggestions of their placement will be enough. Maybe it even will be accurate at the end, who knows? Yeah, definitely need to go closer. My wrist is kind of killing me a bit with working with too big movement. Yeah, I'm not get used to work with the big scales. I kinda get used to painting or drawing things in a small scales. Basically tiny pictures. Oh. Funky. This thing needs to be somewhere in here. Definitely need to learn how to work with more loose lines by putting one line and without chicken scratching, because this is my bad habit from the early days. Get used to chicken scratches. It's pretty hard to get rid of this stupid habit. And because of these occasional chicken scratches, I'm overstressing my wrist. It doesn't look anything close to what I would imagine it. Like, It still works fine though, but this part on the bottom is definitely need to be redesigned. So this one on top kind of works. It could look a little bit better, of course. This thing definitely needs to be smaller. Oh snap, we need to save. Don't forget to save. Don't forget to save. Saving is super crucial. Constantly forgetting. Because when you feel the work, kind of forgetting. So again, in order to make this part a little bit better, we need to make it a little bit more robotic-like, because it's super needs to be a little bit more edge, hard edge. Yeah, I definitely will change this thing and these things. So this one kinda could be an almost straight line by using our perspective. Why not? Okay, perspective. Messed up with the perspective. Oh, snap. This is like a car element to it. We could add this. That's actually pretty cool. Although, like, the mechanically, it's probably not going to do any good for the transformer in terms of the movement. Let's just put it a little bit higher though. So yeah, we're not going to see this one in here. See, I wanted to extend this one. To make it a little bit but I don't know. No, let's just not do that though. Let's not do that. Yeah, I think we need to get rid of this line overall. Make it as just a part of one big shape. Or metal shape at this particular instance. In size, I mean. When we compare, this one is the biggest one, this is the middle one, and this is the smallest one. Big versus middle, small, big, small, middle, big, small, middle. It kind of looks pretty cool. The only problem, it doesn't seem high enough in height, so it kind of seems a little bit flat, which could be a completely fine thing. But the way to make it not flat, because definitely the head actually placed somewhere in here. We'll create it by putting shadows in there. So by establishing where it connects. And since it's pretty hard to portray some type of silhouette in here, because it's for the most part just not going to be visible enough. We'll just make silhouette pretty close to a what a sleep. Nom 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 nom. Again, it will take me some time to adjust to this regime of sleep. Again, if it's going to be a completely different, it's fine. As long as it works. think it's time to establish a center line at the end of the thing. Again, I need to learn to establish center line as fast as possible on the earlier stages, but I'm kind of forgetting to do that. I definitely need to figure out later the form for this part. Should it be like this? Could be. Actually, the bottom part looks a little bit smaller than it needs to be. Of course, we could go like this. Yeah, we'll experiment with this form on rendering stages, so for now I'm not going to bother about that much. The only thing that I know though is the form for these things, probably. I think we're not going to see this thing in here. It definitely creates a little bit more interesting silhouette, but the problem is I don't think that we will see it though. I think it's just going to be something like this and that's it, but it creates a little bit worst silhouette. Okay. Looking through 3D thing. Yeah, apparently we're losing frames again. Camera doesn't supposed to, by the way, lag. Things need to be super fast. Like, it all depends how this thing works in here. If it's high enough, then we're just going to see this part. But if it's flat, then it's going to be like this. So what it could be, or what it will be. Cool. Nom nom nom. Oh, that's how it works. Yeah, we're not going to see this line. This is the only way to present this part is... But for the viewer, it could just create an additional distraction, like, okay, this one is not symmetrical to this one, it's a problem. This one kinda a little bit more symmetric. It's almost clear how these things are intersecting. Yeah, I think we'll keep it this way. Yeah, less talking and more working. This is my motto for now, because we need to finish this project. We need to gain experience, actual practical experience, and after that, it will get a little bit easier. Again, trying to create a interesting silhouette again. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, this is the back for the thing in here. And again, right here it's kind of pretty high, so it has pretty big height, which is good. It's not the case for this one, but it will be the case. Everything in here has to have something. Trying to look at this one, this part, and kind of try to make it in here. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to see an eye in here, so it's just going to be this thing in here. Put in reverse. It kind of starts from here, and then goes there, and then goes here. But we could redesign it again. Let's imagine that these things are coming from the back. They go in here. Again, we're not going to see it from the different side. It's completely out of reach. We could put some... No, it's not going to work. We're not going to see it from that side. So by hitting this thing, we kind of grounded it a little bit closer to the ground. And now the height of it is pretty close to the height of this one. Compared. Okay, by the way, in a couple of minutes or something like this, we definitely need to go in a break. Another one. Again, I'm trying to go through these breaks as quick as possible. So usually it's a couple of minutes, but we definitely need those, and the more work goes, the harder it's going to be. I think it's something with connection, because the problem with dropping frames is definitely not in PC, or yeah, it's not in personal computer itself, it's something with the connection. think we could keep this one. The only thing is every element has to have some point to it. Exactly that. So yeah, I don't think that we need to add something in here. Again, we need to keep some empty spaces for us to... we just need empty spaces. We can't go without them. They are the elements of the design. This one will showcase a little bit clear, make things a little bit clearer that this is the back. The height of this thing will make it a little bit clearer. Center line. Oh, wait a minute. It's wrong. Wrong perspective. It still seems wrong, like it belongs to a completely different perspective, but it kind of just an illusion, because once we'll put center lines in here, it will clarify things, I hope. Not necessarily. Okay, this one kind of works. That's it. So yeah, let's just take probably not now. Definitely not now. I wanted to go in a quick break. It's a little bit early. Yeah, before going on a break, we kind of need at least 15 minutes or so. Let's just continue. We could make these things a little bit straighter. But Okay. So, question is, where we need to add additional things? Oh no, tangent. Although I don't think that it works though. No, not in the middle. Need to properly separate things. No, I don't think that this is necessary. No, there's no such things in the present, so let's keep it like this. By the way, I'm not using references from Pinterest. Maybe we need to close it in order to clear the load. I don't think that I will use those during the session, because most of the things I already kind of established when it comes down to transformers. Don't think that we need more things though. We'll look over number pickuper. 1 hour left and I'm freaking wanna sleep. Again, as I said before, still adjusting to this regime. To be honest, I think we need to create something like this in here. It will create a little bit better silhouettes than by putting something like it was before, because this one kind of creates pretty strange thing. It's not pleasing looking silhouette. Again, I want a completely different feeling from this one, so they are different, and it's probably obvious. They have some like similarities to them, but overall they are different. Also, we need to remember that like every design in here needs to point to the quintessence. So I don't want to create anything super destructive in here, because quintessence is definitely going to have a lot of variables designs. So these kind of a little bit more cubic-like or cube-like, and quintessence is going to be a little bit more, I don't know, curved. So. Aww. The hole became bigger and bigger. This thing that we could do is make things a little bit straighter in here too. Yeah, this one actually looks a little bit better. Yeah, I kind of need to stay focused, that's why I'm not talking that much. I need to put everything at this particular point on creating these complex things. And it's also not much to talk about when you're creating against these things. Again, it's pretty repetitive. At some point it will get pretty repetitive. And by repetitive, I mean you're still thinking about the design, principles like big versus small, or versus middle, medium. Try to compare things, try to use this similar elements of design, although I wouldn't say that this one uses a similar elements of design like completely. There's a couple of unique elements of the design that makes things stand out, but for the most part I think it's Yeah, it still uses like similar elements of the design, like repetitive shapes. They're slightly changed, but the origin for them stays the same. Oh snap, by adding this element we actually will make it even more looking like a ancient warrior's helmet, which is pretty cool. These are just like plates. Yeah, it definitely adds a little bit more variety, but we need to be careful with this. Too much variety could kill the overall feel. For instance, right here, there's no elements that look outside of this design. They're, for the most part, kind of relate to each other in some way. Yes, especially now. Rick, Mola, Wara. Yeah, I think it is it. So yeah, we could go on a break, by the way. Yeah, let's just go on a break, and reminder of the session, we will continue to... So yeah, I think I finished with this one. Don't think that we need to work on it more. Kind of established almost everything that we wanted for this. And the next thing is going to be this one, which is pretty small, by the way. Oh, by the way, we definitely need to make it a little bit bigger. I think it's too small. Let's just compare them. Yeah, the same size, but the problem is this one a little bit bigger because it's a little bit closer to us, so we definitely need to make it bigger. So let's do that. Again, slightly bigger. And it stays in the proper placement. Now, by the way, since we now know what the proper placement for this one, what the shape on which bubbles are standing, we could make this part of the leg a little bit more less generic, because right now it's kind of looks pretty stiff. We need to add a little bit more dynamic to it, the same as for this one. So yeah, now it's bigger, and now it's a little bit more obvious that this one is, it's probably too big though, but I definitely need to make this one bigger, because I think it's too small. Yeah, this one works better. Yeah, they're clearly different in size, but again, before, after, yeah, looks a little bit better. So yeah, and next we will continue with this part. Again, it's going to be relatively easy to make it because there's not that much information in here, and if we will make this one as fast as possible, then we will have time to actually work on the Quintessa. And it's definitely going to be the hardest thing. I think I will start to work on the Quintessa today, and we'll continue to work on Quintessa tomorrow, because she has a lot of complex details into her design, and her design doesn't have 3D model such as our initial design, so it kind of make things a little bit, I don't know, harder. So yeah, let's just go on a break, and after break we will be back and we will continue. And I'm back. So continue. 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 Ugh. My eyes are closing and I wanna sleep. But I still alive. I'll still alive. Again, putting our super vinci glove with a lot of holes in it. And drinking a little bit of water. And continue. I think it kind of works. So, oh no! Did we lost our pressure sensitivity? So this is a super big brush, and we didn't. Things look fine. We didn't. Things look fine. I still want to make it as small as possible. By the way, again, the brush that I'm using for the most part is pretty close to the inking. Yes, it ink G Pen 10. I like how it feels. Like it's pretty good for writing things down if you want to write things down. I don't know, in some non-existent language. Yeah, let's just go with this one. Let's turn on our sketch thing. So again, the same applies. We need to establish perspective first. Perspective for this one is the same as for the table again. Most of it we're not going to see though, but still, and ideally we're not even need to go and create a perspective things for it, but still it could be a good thing if we will do that. Because at least we need to figure out where it's going to stand. Like if we're going to be able to see it from here or not. Considering the height, I think we will see it partially. So somewhere in here is definitely need to be visible. Yeah, it's pretty high out there. So yeah, perspective for this one is going to be this point. Yep. I think it works. I'll just create a couple of lines. Again, since for the most part we're not going to implement any symmetrical elements in here. So again, right here we had to establish perspective lines in order to figure out they're going to be placed in a proper symmetrical position. By the way, they're not. So these things are kind of placed a little bit improper. So yeah, the whole point of establishing these lines is to make sure that symmetrically we will showcase things the proper way. These things, and etc. By the way, let's make a little bit of correction. Yeah, so the same for this one. We had to establish these lines in order to properly place these elements, symmetrical elements. But for this element, we don't have any symmetry for it. So we just have one side. It's just like working with the side view. And it's not necessary, again, to establish perspective for it, but it's good if we will understand where it's placed and what type of box this thing is put in. Never a bad thing. So, come on. So I guess we're done with perspective. Let's just turn things off and make things a little bit better in here. So yeah, these things have to connect. Oh, wait a minute. So you tell me we're not going to see this part? It's going to disappear? Apparently it is. Then it goes in here, in here. We're not going to see this part. It's going to be covered by this one on top. Okay, now it's better. Now perspectively it's in the right place. The only problem, it kind of destroys the silhouette a little bit. But I can't help it, so it will destroy the silhouette, unfortunately. But at least it will look better. I would say better, but realistically. Could try to maintain silhouette by expanding this one. Or we could just create a actual separation that will make things a little bit more clear. if silhouette is not going to look good, always able to. So yeah, I actually think we're not going to see anything from this part. No, we actually will, but it's going to be so little of it. Yeah, actually, by putting this line in here, it kind of makes things a little bit more clear. And yes, yeah, I actually don't think that we will start with Quintessa today. I think we'll go with this one and then just correct things, and Quintessa will work on Quintessa next time. Because Quintessa needs to, for creating Quintessa, I need to put my mind in a completely different place. And at the end of the session, it's a pretty hard thing to do. Okay, the side view. Side view. So for side view, it's going to be relatively simple. Because side view doesn't have that much information to it, especially from the back. So this is the high point, the highest point. Not the highest, but pretty close to the highest point. Cool. Voila. Saving. Don't forget to save. Don't forget to save. Yeah, there's a pretty extreme angle in here. So for the most part, we're barely going to see some changes in perspective in here. Although we can't disregard them because they are present. Yeah, right now again I'm just establishing the parts And then once these parts are established, I will put them in exact perspective. They kind of out of the perspective. I actually trying to draw this as the side view, which is the wrong way to present it, of course, because it's not necessarily the side view. Oh no. Okay. Definitely, since there's going to be a lot of, oh, come on, don't tell me that we lost our, yeah, by the way, I broke my jaw years ago, and since then it's super uncomfortable sometimes. It was actually funny. I've done push-ups, like push-up, clap, then I pushed up and clap and forgot to put hands back on the floor and that was fun. Wasn't able to eat properly for a lot of weeks. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Okay, it's pretty hard to picture the extent of this thing, so ideally we need to create the approximate nope. Just wanna figure out where these things are going to be positioned and what part of the robots we will see in here under the table, and do we see though at all the part or not. I think we will. We're not going to see anything in here. It's not enough. Could put something in here to suggest that it's grounded. This side of it. too far. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a part of it. A pretty big part of it, by the way. I'm not good, I'm not trying to make things detailed in here because this part is just going to be hidden or deleted. I think it's better to hit it. Now, what's happening with my tummy? It started to. Can I? How many time we have? About half an hour, but the problem is, like, ideally I want to finish in 2. And there's 12 minutes left. So yeah, apparently there's going to be a little bit shorter, not like complete 4-hour session. Because a lot of things we need to do. Or I need to do. So. Yeah, these things are barely going to be put in perspective. Barely going to see it, by the way. His head is definitely needs to be a little bit. Okay, not that. Yeah, the first iteration was the middle one. Was the right one. Shanai. messed up the details. Yeah, this thing is just for establishing the proper perspective for it. Although again, it's not going to change that much for these type of objects, because it's just not. And now let's just make it a little bit more hard surface look. Yeah, let's just put it a little bit more hard surface look. I think we need to redraw it. Just use a different layer for it. Draw only elements that we need. The rest is going to be discarded. So Control paste, just make it semi-transparent. And draw an actual layer, the things that we need. Again, design for this one definitely needs to be a little bit different too. Question is how much different. So the good thing that we're going to see the front part of it, which is pretty cool. It definitely will be helpful. So pretty cool. This element will help us to ground this thing, which is good, because without it, it kind of loses placement. It kind of works pretty cool. Yeah, this one kind of works. Okay, let's just get rid of everything that we don't need. See how things are looking. Yeah, kind of cool. This one even seems grounded. This one seems grounded. This one seems grounded because of this part. And once we will establish like the actual elements to it, it will be even better. The only problem is how balanced the character sitting on it. So this one is definitely balanced enough. If it's not going to be balanced enough, we could put it a little bit higher, but for the most part I think it works. So character is kind of almost on the edge of the head and trying to reach a cup, so it works. For this one it's pretty good level of balance, because again the balance is at the needed place. So the balance where it needed, it's in the center. It means that chair is not going to flip over or whatever, so it will stay at the same at the proper level. The same goes, yeah, the thing that we definitely need to figure out the same way is for this one. So let's just make things. I need to make it a little bit higher. Okay, and let's think about the balance. The easiest way to measure the balance is this way, and picture the legs for the character that's probably placed somewhere in here. They're actually shorter. So yeah, the legs of a character somewhere in here. That means that it's actually a little bit out of balance. We need to move the to make sure that balance is going to be present. To move this one in here. Okay, this one a little bit better. Of course, it means that we need to move this one too. It's not that big of a deal. We'll be able to showcase even more of this, which is pretty cool. And again, we need to make it hard surface in order to showcase the difference and create for the viewer good comparison. No, I definitely need to go to sleep. Like, yeah, I definitely will finish right now. So let's just finish things up and finish this session. Unfortunately, it's not full 4 hours, but it's pretty close. So again, I started pretty late, so. Okay, good. So yeah, now balance a little bit better placed. So if we will again draw his hand or his legs, they're going to yeah, I think this thing needs to be a little bit smaller because it's super uncomfortable to use it though. To sit on it if it's going to look that way. This part actually needs to be bigger. Or not. Yeah, not. It's just, well, become bigger in here. So yeah, after evaluating things next session, we'll definitely make things a little bit better. So for now, they kind of look a bit like unclear. I need to take a break in order to see the mistakes that I've made, because right now I'm not seeing them clearly. This one's probably placed a little bit closer now, since we moved it. Yeah, it kind of works. Like right now I'm already starting to see some problems with this one. Definitely need to address it next time. But other than that, let's just point on things to check. Yeah, I think it works fine. So yeah, next session we will continue to work with this thing. We will start to work with Quintessa. First we will basically make the ones that we already placed a little bit better. The chairs. We will make chairs a little bit better. We will correct all mistakes, because we will see them, because right now I'm kind of blind to them. Yes, after that we will start to work with the Contessa, which is going to be a super hard thing to do, because she placed in super weird perspective. It's not perspective that kind of regular perspective, so it's kind of random. So that's why it's definitely going to be a hard thing to work with the Contessa. Yeah. So yeah, on that note, we will probably end the session. So yeah, I don't know how, by the way, end the session. I guess we will end the session in here. Why go somewhere other than that? Yep. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Have a nice day or night, and see you in the next session. Bye bye. Definitely bye bye. And stop streaming.